Hi guys, so let's talk about Wales' Six Nations 2022. There's the final table, there's the results on the side. This is how I saw their games going, and I'll also go through what I see as their best 23 at the moment if we were picking for a World Cup right now. Now, the thing for this tournament for Wales is their effort was variable. Now, I know a lot of people get a bit upset by questioning players' effort, but the evidence is in the performance, and in some games they were absolutely right on it, and in some games they were incredibly off it, if you like, low intensity. And indeed, if you don't believe me, ask Dan Biggar, who in that last game really slammed his teammates, saying it's not good enough, and it was so low in intensity some shouldn't even play for Wales again. Now, I'm not saying players are intentionally not trying. You don't tend to do that in sport ever. It occasionally happens, but certainly not in the top level. But effort levels do vary for lots of different reasons, and that's something definitely the Welsh camp needs to delve into, because we don't know the full details. But certainly effort being variable for a Welsh team isn't acceptable. Their skills weren't great at times. We know they were missing lots of players, but you expect effort to be high. And in game one, it really epitomised the problem. They're away to Ireland, incredibly tough start. We probably didn't expect them to win, but they weren't even close for 70 minutes. Then, 10 minutes to go, they burst into life, showing what we'd missed. So for Welsh fans, that must be infuriating, not having that intensity for 70 minutes. Miles behind Ireland in power and team structures, struggled to make gain line big time. Ireland looked so joined up, and Wales were really struggling for cohesion. Positives though, a solid scrum, really a decent launch platform for the whole Six Nations, their scrum, so that was a pretty good tick, and at times their line out as well looked pretty good, very disruptive. But again, this intensity epitomised by defensive line speed, which at times was pretty embarrassing. They're really standing off Ireland, and Ireland are one side you don't want to stand off because they go through such quick attacking phases and they know where to be. You've got to disrupt them, and they didn't. Adams, this was the game they tried him at 13, which I did say is worth a try, but it really backfired and it was a bit of a disaster. Basham, however, was really impressive in this game, especially in attack. I think he got the try towards the end. So, good 10 minutes, bad 70 minutes for the first game. Then, game two, much, much better. I think they got a good talking to, not that they should need to, but for that first home game, they were gritty, they were intense, great effort, high energy. That's what you expect from Wales at the very least. Technically, maybe not massively impressive. Maybe the attack didn't look the best, and that was one of the downsides for this tournament for Wales, is it really didn't click in attack. They were dropping lots of ball. It didn't look particularly deceptive. So that's something they're going to have to think about from a coaching point of view for sure. Good to have Liam Williams back. He definitely made a difference. What a class player. Showed what happened when he didn't play in that last Italy game, that's for sure. Unfortunately, Lewis Rees-Zammit made an absolute shock of a tackle attempt for Graham's try, and he actually got dropped after that, didn't he? They got some fast-paced attack, but not quite enough. But it was a great atmosphere. I really enjoyed the game, a proper test match. If Wales could add the quality to that intensity, then they'd be, really in a good place. But they didn't actually manage to do that in the rest of the Six Nations. Anyway, into game three against England. Another one where they started off a really bit low, not joined up. England dominated that first half. But then, in the second half, a really good half of rugby, they woke up a lot quicker than they woke up against Ireland and really tore England apart in that second half. Their best period of rugby in the Six Nations. And England really looked ragged, but it was just too little too late, which is a bit of a shame. So they lose to the old enemy, albeit away from home. So definitely half a good game there. It's a weird one. That juxtaposition in the whole game really epitomised their tournament. Half not good enough, half high intensity. Then into game four, a close one against France. They're at home against the best team in the tournament, and it was another one where their intensity went through the roof again. A massive effort for this game. Turned it into a real dogfight, which is what they needed. But the attack didn't have enough edge again to really trouble the French. French were not great in this game, but big defence definitely got them out of trouble. The French power, the individual excellence just got them over the line there. And that's what the French need to do when they don't play well, is win these sorts of games. So Wales will take some positives from that, but still not quite good enough. Now, Wales had a chance to finish on a high here against Italy. They really did. At home, Italy hadn't looked close to winning so far, and this was probably Wales' worst performance of the tournament. Like Dan Biggar said afterwards, just not good enough. The intensity was pretty pathetic at times. They didn't really seem to be as up for it as they should be. I don't know why. There must be some problems in the camp there, or it's individual players. Let me know below what you think the problem was. But it was embarrassing levels of intensity. Dan Biggar fuming. And even though it was the most insipid Welsh performance of the Six Nations, they still should have won. They had enough moments of quality to win. It wasn't very many, but they scored some tries. And they were actually close to getting that bonus point and banging at the door against Italy. And then they went to sleep for 1 second. And also Capuzzo and then Padovani created one of the most memorable tries ever in Six Nations history to get under the posts. And Garbisi get the conversion, collapse on the floor, and we had that historic moment. And that's pretty much as low as it gets, to be fair, for Wales. At home, losing to Italy, who actually didn't play that great. They were okay, and they stayed in it, and then one moment of genius won it for them. But Wales should have been out of sight for sure. So where now for Wales? It's a bit of a tricky one. Definitely questions about Wayne Pivac. He hasn't really gone great for him. I know they won last year, which I'm sure will save his job. But he came in to revolutionise the attack for one thing, and that's one thing that hasn't been revolutionised and has been disappointing. However, in the short term, I think there could be a saving grace for the World Cup, because if they get players back, like North at 13, maybe Halfpenny into the squad at least, Tipperick as a starter, Alan Wynne-Jones fully fit, not just chucked in any old how in that Italy game, Ken Owens back at hooker maybe, you've got a completely different team. Now, in the long term, maybe there is a problem. I'm not quite seeing the quality come through at under 20s or regional, but we will see. That's over a year away. But their best team right now, considering what we've seen, players coming back from injury, I think it's this. Wynne-Jones, Owens and Francis is a very solid front row. I don't think Elias and Lake have done enough to say they're better than a fully fit Ken Owens. In the second row, I think Beard and Alan Wynne-Jones would be their best bet. Rowlands, who's been decent all tournament, on the bench. I think those three would be their best second rows. Moriarty has shown fight and effort and grit all the way through. The youngsters not quite making it, I don't think, over him. So he stays at 6. Tipperick, I think, returns at 7. I don't think anyone is playing better than him. And Faletau at 8. So a completely different look to that pack, and a lot more experience and nasty. I think that could do very well. They could actually be dark horses. Thomas Williams and Biggar, for sure. They're 9 and 10. In the centres, Tompkins has been their best centre. I think they're most dangerous, although not perfect. I think Watkins been pretty solid, so I'd have him on the bench. But if you have a fit George North, I think he definitely comes straight back in. Adams and Cuthbert have both done pretty well on the wings. Liam Williams easily their best 15. Then on the bench, as you see there, Basham, I think maybe for impact, would be a good player to bring on, if not start. Hardy's looked very dangerous at times. At 10, Sheedy's been okay, and Watkins been pretty solid. So I think that's their World Cup team as I see it now. But let me know what you think of their Six Nations campaign and that best team I've just put out there, and I'll catch you next time.